I didn't know what to do when I opened the door and saw them standing there, after all these years, after all the pain. There they were, my sister Rachel, my ex-husband Ben, and a boy I had never seen before, standing in my doorway like they hadn't ripped my world apart nearly a decade ago. I froze. Time seemed to stop as I looked at them. I didn't recognize the boy immediately, but there was something in his eyes. The same dark eyes that once belonged to Ben. It was the boy's gaze that sent my heart racing, a sickening realization creeping in that he wasn't just anyone. He was Ben's son. I swallowed hard. The words stuck in my throat. 9 years. 9 years since Rachel and Ben had taken everything from me. And now, here they were, standing on my doorstep with nowhere else to turn. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are listening. Your support means everything. I was in my mid-30s when I thought my life was everything I ever wanted. Ben and I were high school sweethearts who had been through it all. We were that couple, the ones who knew each other's thoughts without speaking, who could finish each other's sentences. We had 2 kids, a house, and a life that from the outside looked perfect. Rachel, my younger sister, was always the wild one. She was fun, spontaneous, and lived life on her own terms. I always admired her for that, but I was also the steady one, the one who kept things grounded. When Rachel went through her messy divorce and needed a place to stay, I didn't hesitate to open our home to her. I thought it was just a temporary thing, that she would get back on her feet quickly and move on. At first, it wasn't a big deal. Rachel was living with us, helping out with the kids, and keeping me company when Ben was working long hours. I thought I was being a good sister, supporting her during a difficult time. But I didn't realize then that I was walking blindly into the perfect storm. As the months went on, Rachel and Ben started spending more and more time together. At first, it was just friendly conversation. But then I started noticing the little things. They would have private talks, little smiles that I wasn't a part of. And then, one day, I caught them. I walked into the living room after work and found them sitting too close to each other, a kind of tension in the air that I couldn't ignore. I froze, standing in the doorway, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I didn't have to ask what was going on. The look on their faces told me everything. What the hell is going on here? I asked, my voice trembling with disbelief. Rachel stood up quickly, her face pale. Emily, I didn't want you to find out like this. I'm so sorry. Ben didn't move. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just stared at me, guilt and regret written all over his face. I never meant to hurt you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But I love her, Emily. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The man I trusted, the one I had given everything to, had fallen in love with my sister. And my sister, the one I had always protected, always loved, had betrayed me in the worst way possible. Do you even hear yourselves? I managed to choke out. You're my sister, Rachel. And you're my husband. How could you do this to me? Rachel's eyes welled up with tears, and Ben didn't know what to say. They both stood there, silent, as I felt the walls of my life crumble around me. I can't do this, I whispered, backing away. I can't be in this house anymore. Without saying another word, I turned and ran out the door. The only thing I could think about was leaving them behind. My family, the life I thought I had, was gone in an instant. The months that followed were some of the darkest of my life. I moved into a small apartment with my kids, Lily and Ethan, trying to make a new life for us. Ben called, leaving messages, begging for forgiveness. Rachel sent me texts, flowers, and letters, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. How could I? They had destroyed me. I thought of all the years I had spent building a life with Ben, the plans we'd made, the dreams we'd shared. And then, like a punch to the gut, I realized it had all been a lie. They had been living a lie behind my back for months, maybe even years. And I hadn't seen it coming. The hardest part wasn't just the betrayal. It was the fact that I had to explain to my kids what had happened. Ethan, who was too young to fully understand, but who still missed his father. Lily, who was old enough to understand the weight of the situation. I couldn't look at them without seeing the damage I had no idea how to fix. Didn't hear from Rachel or Ben for a long time after that. A few months passed, then a year. And eventually, I told myself I was better off without them. It hurt, but I had to move forward. I focused on the kids, on my job, and on rebuilding. I kept myself busy, buried the pain as deep as I could. But no matter how much time passed, I couldn't forget. Every now and then, I would see something that reminded me of Ben. A pair of shoes in a store that we'd picked out together. A song we used to dance to. And in those quiet moments, the pain came rushing back. It was a rainy afternoon when the doorbell rang. I had just gotten home from work and was making dinner when I heard it. I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart started pounding in my chest. Who could it be? I opened the door and there they were. Rachel, Ben, and the boy. Rachel looked older, more worn than the last time I saw her. She was thinner, her eyes tired. Ben was standing behind her, his hands in his pockets, a look of guilt on his face. And then there was the boy, a little boy with Ben's eyes, looking up at me with a mixture of curiosity and fear. My mind was spinning. I couldn't process what was happening. I looked from Rachel to Ben, then to the boy. "Hi, Emily," Rachel said, her voice quiet and hesitant. "Can we talk?" I stood frozen in the doorway, unable to speak. I hadn't seen either of them in nearly a decade. What was happening? Why were they here? And why was there a child with them? "Who is this?" I asked, my voice trembling as I looked at the boy. Rachel swallowed hard, looking at Ben for a moment before answering. "This is Noah. He's Ben's son." My chest tightened. Ben's son? What did that even mean? How had I not known about this? Ben has a son? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel nodded, her eyes filled with regret. We didn't tell you about him before. After everything that happened, we didn't think it was right to bring it up. But now we don't know what else to do. Ben took a step forward, his voice low. "We need your help, Emily. Noah's sick. He needs medical care. And we don't have anywhere else to turn." I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. This wasn't happening. Not now. Not after everything that had happened. You think you can just show up here, after everything, and ask for help? I whispered, shaking my head in disbelief. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know where else to go. We've tried everything, but Noah's condition is getting worse. We need someone who can take care of him." I looked at the boy again, and something in his eyes broke my heart. He wasn't responsible for what his parents had done. He was just a child, caught in the wreckage of their choices. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on me. "How sick is he?" I asked quietly. Rachel's voice cracked. "He's been diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder. The doctors say they don't know how much time he has left." I closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. I wanted to say no. I wanted to slam the door in their faces and never see them again. That Noah needed help. And as much as I hated to admit it, part of me still felt for Rachel, even if she didn't deserve it. "Okay," I said, my voice soft but firm. "You can stay. But this doesn't change anything. I'm doing this for him, not for you." Rachel's face softened, and Ben didn't say anything. He didn't need to. The weeks that followed were difficult, to say the least. Noah was quiet, withdrawn at first. But as we started to get him the care he needed, I saw glimpses of the boy beneath the pain. He wasn't like Rachel or Ben. He was innocent, caught in a situation that had nothing to do with him. As time passed, Noah began to open up. He smiled more. He played with my kids. And I found myself growing attached to him. He wasn't my son, but he needed me. And for the first time in years, I found myself caring for someone again, dotting Noah. I realized something important. I wasn't just helping him. I was helping myself too. I was healing in a way I never expected. I wasn't ready to forgive Rachel or Ben, but I was learning to let go of the anger, to let go of the hurt. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. One night, as I tucked Noah into bed, he looked up at me with those big brown eyes and asked, "Do you think I'll get better?" I smiled softly, brushing his hair back. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we're going to try." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it.